So I just watched the newest episode of The Boys, episode 4, and it was pretty great. But before I start, as a side thing, I'm not sure what happened with the release of this episode. I know some people got it early, and other people had to wait for it to come out. I'm not really sure what Amazon is doing there. I mean, it feels a little weird to have episodes released early for some and not for others. I hope it doesn't happen again. Maybe they just had some sort of mix up or something. I'm not sure. But regardless of that, like the episode was fantastic. I'm actually liking this newest season a lot more than season two, and I find that surprising, honestly. Usually, TV shows these days they drop in quality and they try to extend their content. But for the boys, I'm happy it's just getting better. I think. Um, and the number one thing I really want to emphasize in this video is that Anthony Starr's Homelander is by far my favorite character in the show. And I think a lot of other people agree with that too. Every single time he's on screen, you just can't take your eyes away from him. I mean, he's captivating. It reminds me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones. In that, yes, he's a villain and he's a bastard and you hate him, but the actor does such a good job and he's so intriguingly evil, you just have to watch. I think honestly, just I can't think of a better actor to play Homelander. Anthony Starr, he looks the part. You know, it's an all-American superhero, perfect in every way, and they do some fantastic makeup because Anthony Starr, I know he's a handsome guy in real life, but in this TV show, he looks just perfect. His hair is always perfect. His suit's always pristine. He's always in the suit. He just radiates perfection, and it really shows in his confidence too. In this episode, there's a coup at Vought, and Homelander finally dethrones Stan Edgar, using his daughter, or pseudo daughter, really, Victoria Newman. Newman and Edgar are planning a press conference to bring Homelander in check because Edgar, the entire episode, it kind of he's radiating some sort of uncertainty about Homelander. You know, lately Homelander's been getting only stronger since his speech at the end of I think it was episode 3, and Edgar wants to use Newman and her agency to investigate. You know, do a small investigation on Homelander and say that she's wants to do fines for him swearing on TV and all that during his speech. But it turns out Homelander made a deal with Newman before this press conference that Stan Edgar had no idea about. And apparently he made a deal in exchange for Compound V for her daughter, who later in the episode she actually gives the V to, I assume because she wants her daughter to have powers because Homelander is now a threat, because Homelander knows that Victoria Newman has powers now. And the scene with the daughter was just terrifying. I mean, that she's just screaming when she gets the injection, and you could really feel that it's just fucking awful. And we have no idea what the effects of the VR. I mean, it's a lottery as far as I'm concerned about who gets what power, and I'll talk about that later when it comes to Huey and the rest of the boys. But if we do lose Stan Edgar as a character, I think it's going to be slightly disappointing. I just love Esposito as an actor. He was so good in Breaking Bad. He was good in Fallout. No, not Fallout. What was the game? Crap. I'm blanking right now. Of course, I'm recording and I'm blanking. But he was great in that one game. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's just a great actor. Like, he plays villains so well. He's kind of getting typecast in this role now because he was so good in Breaking Bad. But who cares? I mean, he's good at his job. Like, fuck it. Take the roles. I'll keep watching him. I don't give a shit. It will be a shame though, because Homelander does take over, and he wants. I assume Homelander's vision of Vought is to be about the superheroes and not the pharmaceutical company that Stan Edgar wants to run. So they have competing interests at Vought, and Homelander finally gets his wish, and Stan Edgar has to take a leave of absence. Um, Another scene that I really appreciated this episode was the Seven meeting in the tower. It's been a while, I think, since I can't think of when the last time they met. Once in season 1 for Starlight's introduction, and they were all at the tower, and Translucent was there and complaining about his points or whatever, or they were pirating his episode or his TV show or whatever, his movie. And they met once when Homelander discovered that it was Butcher and Huey who were out to get him, and he accused Starlight. So they met a couple times, but they don't meet that often. And we finally get another scene with the Seven in the tower, all at that table, and they meet because they're trying to. Homelander wants to do the introduction, of course, just like he did with Starlight, of Supersonic. And during the meeting, A-Train comes out and he says that he wants to do something about this Soup who is harassing black neighborhoods and over-policing them and causing trouble. And the Deep's wife is there, and she's in the background, and she texts the Deep to tell to side with Homelander and tell A-Train, or tell Homelander that A-Train's idea is stupid because if you get rid of this superhero, then Homelander's numbers will go down because he's popular with the rural white community, and, of course Homelander sides with the Deep, and A-Train feels like shit over this. The meeting ends, and then A-Train comes out in the hallway, and we get another great scene with A-Train and the Deep, and they fight because A-Train thinks the Deep sucks Homelander's dick, which he does. And they fight a little bit. They end up on the floor, and then Homelander finally comes out. He picks up the Deep. He walks away. He leaves A-Train on the floor. And it's just another rift between A-Train and Homelander. And Supersonic's in the background. He sees all of this. And he takes A-Train to the elevator. And I forgot to mention that Supersonic and Annie met, and Annie wants to have Supersonic join them to take down Homelander because she also met with Maeve this episode. There's a lot of stuff that happened in this episode. It's kind of hard to keep track, but yeah. And Supersonic recruits A-Train, or at least he thinks he does. A-Train later tells Homelander about this little coup and gets Supersonic killed at the end of the episode, which obviously devastates Starlight. It's awful. Just another thing to Homelander wins in this episode. He's winning so much that I assume that they're going to take him down a peg upcoming. And that had involved Soldier Boy. So the boys' side of this episode was them going to Russia to find the weapon needed to kill Homelander. They still think it's out in Russia. They got to go find it. But before they carry out their plan, Butcher injects himself with the temporary V again in case things go wrong at the compound and he has to use powers. And Huey finds out about this, obviously, because Butcher threw up green shit all over him, and Huey puts two and two together and assumes that Butcher has powers. And yeah, Butcher obviously doesn't want Huey to take the V because he understands what comes with it, and Huey's not having any of it. Huey's, if you know his character, I mean, we all know his character, he feels like a loser. He's never had any power. He's always just the nerd of the group, and he feels like he can't protect Starlight, and Starlight always have to protect him, so he takes the V without Butcher knowing, and they go to this compound, and shit goes wrong. They're trying to find the weapon, but their alarm goes off because of a killer hamster, which I thought was great. And yeah, they start fighting in the compound, and Huey apparently has the power of teleportation. And yeah, it seems when you inject this V, it's completely random, which I like, because you never know what you're going to get. You could become Popclaw, or you could become have just super speed or teleportation or invisibility. It's great. You never know what you're going to get, which is why I fear for Victoria Newman's daughter, because God knows what's going to happen to her. I have a feeling it's not going to be good. But Huey fucking loves it. He's so happy and just euphoric and drunk off the power. And I have a feeling he's going to get addicted to that V, and it's going to become a problem in later episodes, because once you have that power, man, it's hard to put down, I think he's going to really enjoy it. Anyway, they don't find the necessarily a weapon, but they do find Soldier Boy in the compound. Another twist that I kind of saw coming, but it's fine. Soldier Boy is imprisoned at the compound. He's in this, tank. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a cylindrical tank. And Butcher rips the door off, lets Soldier Boy out, and he just kind of walks out. He's all fucked up because he's obviously been in there a while, and he unleashes a beam, and Kamiko unleashes a beam towards Frenchie, and then Kamiko pushes him out of the way, and she gets hit with that beam from his chest, and she's on the floor, and he gthey kind of just let him go. I assume they didn't want to fucking use their powers to stop him, but honestly, after seeing that, I wouldn't either. The beam apparently temporarily, and I think temporarily because I don't think they're going to kill Kamiko, the beam temporarily disables your powers. So Kamiko's on the floor bleeding because she can't heal as she's dying. And so they quickly have to, get her in the van, and they're giving her, like a saline bag, or I don't know what they're giving her. Some sort of medical bag or whatever to her veins. And the van scene was great because Huey is in the front seat, and for once he's not giving a shit about what's happening to Kamiko in the back. He's just like with his arm out with the window down on the van, and he's just fucking chilling. He's obviously extremely high off the fucking V and the power. Meanwhile, Mother's Milk and Frenchie are freaking out in the back, trying to make sure that Kamiko doesn't die. It's just a great episode, great scene, and I think it's going to set the stage for the rest of the season. I think the rest of the boys are also going to take the temporary V, and my predictions are that Frenchie will take it because he's angry about Kamiko. Maybe she doesn't recover immediately. Maybe the effects of the beam last for days or something. I don't honestly know. But I think he'll eventually take the V. I think Mother's Milk is going to take the V to counter Soldier Boy. And I think, obviously, Huey's going to keep taking it because he's addicted. And I just really like where they're going with this. Obviously, you got to fire with fire when it comes to Homelander. There's no stopping him unless you really have something on a level playing field. I'm trying to think of what else. I think that's mostly it for the episode. We have 4 left, and I'm really excited. I can't wait for next week. This show has been great. I know my last video was about Kenobi. I felt like such a downer fucking being mad about that episode, but this was fantastic. I can't wait for this. This is holding me over until Better Call Saul comes back, so thank you guys for watching, and appreciate you.